Tonight, we're going to chat about all things spring. I started thinking about spring and different themes. We've got gardening and cleaning and allergies. Let's just combine them all into one spring themed call where we can hit on a bunch of the highlights and learn a lot. So as we're going through here tonight, if you think of something that we didn't cover that is very pertinent to the spring season, then please save that for the end and hop in and share. So we're going to start off with Suzanne, and she's going to talk to us about the most popular thing we probably think of when we hear spring, which is spring cleaning. Not necessarily the most fun, but something that we're all always thinking about. So Suzanne.
All right. My favorite, probably next to Ninja Red, is Thieves Household Cleaner. This is amazing stuff. This is all I use for cleaning. And I put a cap full of that in one of these bottles. This is like a 26-ounce bottle. Cheap, $1 or $2 at the Dollar Tree. And then fill it up with the 26-ounce mark, and you can go forever with this. I use it for dusting, countertops, the bathroom, every surface. I also love to clean my windows with it. And since I've just been using the Thieves Cleaner, I have learned that I could also add a teaspoon of white vinegar to that and some citrus fresh essential oil. So that'll make me even happier as I'm cleaning windows. But I really do like to clean windows. And that's a pet peeve of mine. So if anybody needs their windows washed, give me a holler. I'll come wash your windows.
Wow, Suzanne, you know what you just offered.
I know. Do you know, I have a friend who used the Thieves Household Cleaner straight on her oven. And she said, I used the whole bottle, but my oven is sparkling. I said, well, you could have diluted it some. She said, no, I just used it straight. She said, those oven racks just sparkle. So,
wow.
I haven't got to do mine yet, though.
So you said for the windows to add a little bit of white vinegar and citrus fresh?
One of the recipes I found said to put 3 cups of water, a teaspoon of white vinegar, and then you could use, of course, a capful of Thieves Household Cleaner, and then 5 drops of citrus fresh.
Okay, I'll have to try that. I really do like when we're doing things like spring cleaning that no matter what area of my house, no matter what surface of my house, Thieves Cleaner is going to be the base of what I use for everything.
And it's been probably 4 or 5 years ago now. Lucas wanted to dust. He probably got more Thieves Cleaner on him than he did dusting. And Mila now likes to dust. But I don't worry about it because wherever they squirt it, if it's on them or wherever, it's not going to hurt anything. And I don't have to worry about them getting sick from whatever's in it.
I love it. Awesome. Well, it's pretty high praise also if you said that's your next favorite product after Ninja Red. So thank you for the plug for Thieves Cleaner for spring cleaning. That's awesome. Okay, well, another thing that we think of with spring is insects and bugs. And Jeannie, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and she's got some tips to help us fight the bugs during this season. I've already been asked by people, what can I use for the mosquitoes and the ticks that are out there? So I'm eager to learn. Jeannie, take it away.
Well, I'm going to start with the doorway and the windows, spiders and ants, peppermint in water. This is a 16-ounce, and I probably have 10 to 15 drops of peppermint oil in water. Keeps the spiders and the ants away. Okay, insect repellent. This stuff is wonderful. Shannon, do you know if we can get this in Indiana now? Because I haven't tried to order it. This came from convention because I knew we couldn't get it in Indiana at the time. So I've had this since convention. It's great stuff. It's all 100% natural, no DEET, no DEET, no parabens, no fillers, no phthalates, no sulfates, no petrochemicals, no animal-derived ingredients, no synthetic fragrance or synthetic dyes or colorants. It does contain sesame seed oil for the carrier, citronella, lemongrass, rosemary, geranium, spearmint, thyme, clove, and 1% of vitamin E oil is this stuff. It's great for anybody. You put it on yourself. Right after this came out, I saw a testimonial on Facebook. Somebody had their kids love to go wandering in the woods, and their husband liked to go in the woods. And they always came back covered in ticks. When this stuff came out, they put this on, went in the woods, they came back, no ticks. It works.
Jeannie, it is available in Indiana because I have ordered it a few times. And I've also seen some people take it and put a spray top on it. And then, because it's a little bit of a pain to have to pour it out and then rub it on. So if you put a spray top on, you can easily apply it. And yeah, awesome results.
Not only that, I don't have it, but Young Living also has insect wipes. They got wipes for everything. But when I looked to get the stuff on the lowdown on this, I noticed they had insect repellent wipes. So not only do they have seedlings wipes and hand sanitizer wipes, they now have insect repellent wipes. And this is probably more summer than spring, but one of our Believe team members, Teresa Davison, came up with this idea. If I can get it to light. I had it lit perfectly in the kitchen a while ago. It is lit, but you can't tell it's lit. I'll do it this way. I just blew it out. We made outdoor candles, citronella bug repellents with Ninja bottles. Just drill a hole in the top, stick a wick down in there. We found out coconut oil works better than olive oil, but it does work. And it will, this one's not staying lit right now, but that's okay. I don't want it all on my computer anyway. So Young Living has great stuff for bugs. I really love the spray. This is almost empty. I don't know if you can read it or not, but I wrote peppermint on here, so I know that this is peppermint. And I know somebody's doing gardening. Last year I saw a bug repellent for gardens. I don't remember what I put in it, but I used it. Maybe you all know.
Okay, Jeannie, we need to know a little bit more about the outdoor candle. So it's a Ninja bottle.
Ninja red bottle.
You screw on the top and you drill a hole for the wick to go in.
I drilled the hole before I took it off when I drilled the hole.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you put the wick in. Supposed to put it in from the top and just screw the wick down. This wick's not quite as long as I would like because it does not go all the way down. It just goes about that far down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you just got to keep putting oil in it and put more citronella in it.
Okay, so tell us what's in the mixture. What do you put in a full Ninja bottle?
Coconut oil and citronella oil.
So like the fractionated coconut oil?
Yes, the liquid, yeah.
And then 10, 20, 30, 40 drops of citronella?
Tonight I just put in about probably 15. I haven't had it outside yet, so I don't know how that's going to work, but it's probably going to work great because it doesn't take a lot of citronella to kill the bugs.
That is brilliant.
This was Teresa Davidson's idea. It wasn't mine. It's Teresa Davidson's idea.
Well, thank you for resharing it for us this evening. I have also taken a diffuser outside. If you've got a plug outside, and you can get citronella and peppermint on the table where you're eating if you don't want bugs around. But I like the candle idea too. Suzanne.
When Jeannie and I did this make and take, there's wicks were from Amazon, and you can get varying diameters. You can get one as small as your finger or others that are as big as your thumb. So it's whatever you want to, however big a hole you want to drill.
About a 1/4-inch wick.
Oh, Danny says a 1/4-inch wick is probably adequate to do the job.
Okay, very cool.
I think these are about 1/2 inch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. Excuse me, that is fascinating. I love it. Thank you both for sharing. Okay, Catherine is going to share some of her stories about another thing that a lot of us are dealing with this sneezes and eyes watering and springtime allergies.
So this is actually how I got started with Young Living. I have terrible allergies. If it grows and pollinates in Indiana, my body doesn't like it. And about 3 years ago, I had a sinus infection that lasted 7 months. And I was on 6 rounds of antibiotics, steroids, you name it. The doctors tried it. And finally, I was like, Shannon, I've seen all the stuff you post. Here's your blank check. Sell me. What do I need? So at the time, I don't have the bottle with me. I grabbed everything else, but I was taking 4 times the recommended dosage of Claritin. I was taking twice the recommended dosage of Allegra, twice the recommended dosage of Flonase. And the only reason I followed the dosage of this was because anything more and I would fall asleep. Your employer tends to look very badly on that. So after some steroids and some stuff, I am now managing with recommended dosage of Claritin a day and my oils. And that's all I need. Woo! Yeah, it got really bad 2 weeks ago and the pollen count got really high. So for 2 days, I used Flonase and that was it, guys. So I count that as a win. I have not had a sinus infection that needed antibiotics in 3 years. So, yay! So what I use is lavender. This is good. It helps your immune system. It helps kind of decrease your body's histamine response. It makes it realize that it doesn't have to attack those pollens as much. Peppermint is really, really good for opening up those airways. You got that decongestant. It helps you breathe better. It helps kind of loosen some of that phlegm and stuff that's going down your throat. And lemon helps some with the immune support, just kind of helps your body. And plus, if you're just a little overwhelmed by the scent of the other two, it's just a nice citrus breathing. If your allergies are making you feel run down and you're not sleeping, it helps wake you up too. So the cool thing is that there is so many ways to use the 3 of these. I made a roller recently that travels with me in my purse, about 20, 30 drops of each. And I filled the rest with sweet almond oil. And you can diffuse it. You can put it in hot tea is one of my favorites during the wintertime. You can even put peppermint and some coffee, makes a really nice little addition there. If it's summertime and you don't want some hot tea, I like to put some ice in and then I put a couple of drops of each in and it freezes. So then as you're drinking, instead of having like that glob of oil at the top, it kind of slowly filters out and melts with it. So that's really nice. You can rub them in. I actually put a little bit of lavender kind of inside my nose. It helps. And I actually made a spray for 2 of my coworkers that had all 3 of these after they'd had COVID and they hadn't regained their smelling yet. And one of them came and she gave me a big hug. She's like, I can smell it. I can smell it. So all sorts of uses for these little gems. Oh, and if you have the drainage at night and you wake up with really, really bad breath, the mouthwash is amazing.
Agree with you on the mouthwash. The mouthwash also has colloidal silver in it. So as that kind of absorbs into your tissues, it builds up your immune system as well. But Catherine, your story is so fascinating and encouraging and life-changing and real. I mean, that's a huge, big deal. I'm so grateful you found some answers.
It is. My 13-year-old's actually, those oils don't work. And my husband looked at me and said, they work more than you believe, buddy. Just look at your mom.
Wow. Yes. The proof is in the pudding. And when people can see life used to be like this, insert a different lifestyle, and now life looks like this, it's hard to argue that. That's a pretty powerful testimonial. I'm really happy for you. And the freezing, like the little popsicles or slushy with those oils, that's a pretty good idea that I've never thought of. I like
it works really well because otherwise it just kind of sits on top of the water.
Mm-hmm.
So Suzanne's asking how many times a day. Whenever I feel like my nose or my drainage is doing worse, or if I have like I want to claw my eyes out, then I'll go take some more. So at work, I probably use my roll-on about every couple of hours just because I'm wearing a mask all day. And then it depends on how much I'm outside. Another great resource is pollen.com, or it's .org. I think it's .com. Gives you a pollen forecast. So if you know you're allergic to certain things, you can see what's out today, what they're forecasting for tomorrow.
You also bring up a really good point, Catherine, that you could take that roller or spray and spray it inside your mask if you're having to wear that all day. And that can really help open you up and breathe easier. Awesome. You can spray it on your pillow at night. So many uses.
Mhm.
Yay, Catherine. Thank you for sharing. That's going to save a lot of people. Very, very cool. Okay, Lisa Benham, coming to you next to give us a couple of tips for gardening with your oils.
Okay. Something crazy just happened.
Just a second. Let me see here.
Twice.
I'm going to mute you there. And then I'm going to ask to unmute you on this one.
She's on my screen twice. Her picture's up here and then down here is a Lisa Benham, and it's just a thing. So you may have two devices on, Lisa. That may be why you're echoing.
Okay, well, I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to remove this other one. I hope it doesn't take you out totally. Okay. Now let's unmute you here. Will it unmute you? There you
Okay.
go.
Now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that was weird. All of a sudden my computer flashed and then it went like to showing everybody, and then it showed both me two places, and I don't know what happened. It was crazy. Anyway,
Your computer
I'm just
needs
here.
some white Angelica or something.
I don't know what it is, but anyway. Okay, so I was kind of excited to talk about gardening after I found my notes, because I, as some of you know, am just really starting to get into gardening and am loving it. I just completed 10 garden beds. And last year when I bought my compost for the 4 that I had, I was informed that it was organic, because I asked them specifically if it was organic compost, and they told me it was. And so I never questioned it. I put it in my garden beds. And this year when I went to go get it some more for the other 6 beds, I asked for organic compost. And Rick looks at me and says, "You know, this isn't really organic compost, right?" And I said, "No, I didn't know that." I said, "You guys told me last year that it was." So long story short, it was kind of too late at that point. I'd already been started with everything. So I filled my beds up with this compost, and I had done some research a year or so ago when we were talking about the fruit and veggie spray, and I actually did a video on it and talked about the story of Gary Young and how they spray their farms with Digest essential oil to basically digest the toxins in the soil. So when they tested the soil, there were pesticides and stuff in the soil because it had been farmed with other farming practices. And so after they sprayed the soil 3 times with the Digest, all of the residue of the pesticides were completely gone. So I took it upon myself to go mix my Digest with my water, and I worked it into all of my garden beds, into my soil, so that I know that my soil will be rid of the pesticides. Compost, not soil. Anyway, so I did all that. So I did take my soil to have it tested before I did that, but that because it was compost, that you have to test everything individually, and it was going to be a huge expense. And I thought, so I didn't go ahead and do that. I had it tested for the nutrients that it needed, but the other I didn't really test, because I wanted to see the difference between what it was before and after I sprayed it with the Digest. But anyway, so I know it works because Gary said it did. So anyway, there you go. Proof's in the pudding, right? So there were just a few things. I have a lot of notes because I've been researching this for a while, trying to get ready for my garden. So there were, I think, 3 things that I was particularly excited about to try. One thing I have tried about weeds, and I know you've probably seen this all over the internet because I've Googled it and it's everywhere, but the main thing, like for weeds, is to use a gallon of white vinegar. You add a 1/4 of a cup of dish soap, and that helps the mixture to absorb into the leaves, and it holds it on there. But you can use a 1/4 cup of Thieves dish soap. And the recipe that I found didn't call for salt, but I've added salt to mine because that salt helps. And then you spray it like in the heat of the day on weeds, but you have to be careful not to get it on any plants or anything. So I mainly use that out in where there's not plants that I like, but it's a good weed killer. And then there are a lot of individual oils that you can use for specific pests in the garden. Peppermint is a huge one for a lot of different ones, but there's oils that you can use for ants, aphids, beetles, cabbage worms, chiggers, fleas, flies, gnats, mosquitoes, moths, slugs and snails, spiders, ticks, and weevils. So peppermint is used for a lot of those, but there's also rosemary, lavender, lemongrass, thyme, purification, pine, hyssop, patchouli. So, and I can post these in Believe Team if you want me to. I want to give the credit to I've got these from several different places, so I kind of want to try to give the credit to the place where I got them, but I'll try to get it together and post it. I probably won't do it tonight. But anyway, and then on Jordan Schrant's website, she has a recipe for a natural pesticide, which is 40 drops of digize, 40 drops of peppermint, 40 drops of wintergreen, and 40 drops of citronella, and add that to a gallon of water and just spray your plants. So that's one that I'm anxious to try if I start getting any type of, well, probably even before I get any type of bugs or anything, I'll probably use that. And I know Suzanne mentioned to me in a text or in our message thread that she has sprayed thieves cleaner on her roses and got rid of bugs that way. So that's also something else. And I know there's lots of different recipes out there, but I love Jordan, so I'm going to try hers. And then let's see, what else did I have? I had a couple more that I was excited. Oh, Fighting Garden Disease. And this is a tomato blight recipe. And I'm planning on planting lots of tomatoes because I want to can them. It is 3 drops of purification, 1 drop of oregano, and 1 pint of water, and you just combine all the ingredients and spray the affected plants. So I thought that was a good recipe to have. And then I'm not going to go into all of these, but I can probably like pull this up and post it in Believe Team or post a PDF of it or something. But there's like squirrel and chipmunk repellent, caterpillar and moth repellent, gray mold remedy, club root remedy. There's lots of things, bacteria wilt treatment. So there's lots of things that you can do with essential oils in the garden. And so I'm really excited to try them this year in my garden. So I'll let y'all know how all that works out.
Thank you. Super fascinating. So yes, whatever you can post in Believe Team would be great. And then we'll all follow your garden progress.
I hope it all works.
Yes, but here's the cool thing. When you're planting a garden, especially if it's a fruit and vegetable garden, that is so that you can eat these things later on, right? Well, all the products that are out there at the store to spray on are full of toxic junk. So this is a great ditch and switch for our overall health.
Absolutely. And I absolutely, I mean, not only just doing it like this, like I do the Back to Eden gardening, which, you know, with the wood chips, I put the cardboard down and then the compost and then the wood chips. And I am super excited. I can't wait to try all of these things because I know it's the best way. So it should all be as organic as possible. That's my goal, and to be able to make sure that it's all good and healthy.
That's the beauty of our oils with the seed to seal guarantee also, because this is what Gary did and taught and learned about our oils and the soil and the farms where they came from. He used oils for so much of the weed and pest control. So we're connected in that regard.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, I'm headed over to Ashley and then Lynette. Ashley's going to talk to us about something fun she's been learning about with the moons and any spring moons that are out there and what we can do.
Okay, so I'll make this brief because, like she said, I've been doing a lot of research, but I could talk about the moon phases and essential oils and your moods and things being affected. I could talk for hours. So I will be brief, but the moon is all the different phases, incredibly powerful. I mean, obviously, God made everything. He made the planets, the solar system, everything. So it does all work together. There's huge gravitational pulls. I mean, the moon is responsible for the tide coming in and out. So it obviously is going to affect our bodies. And so I started to research full moons, new moons, different kinds of moons, and their effects on moods and attitudes and things like that. Because I could tell the week leading up to a full moon, my kids were like nuts. My kids don't fight too often, but the week leading up to a full moon, it's crazy. So there's a lot of research that backs this kind of information. And so, but first of all, the new moon is May 11th. Okay, so the new moon can look like a full moon, but it's not. It's a new moon. It's has different pulls, gravitational pulls. So one of the things I want to do is just share some oils. So what I do is leading up to those moons, I will use oils like a couple of days. I'll diffuse them. I might put them into a roller bottle and apply them to myself and to my kids, maybe 2 or 3 days leading up to, and then most definitely on the day of the new moon and the full moon. So new moon oils, I'm going to put it in the chat here. Abundance, cypress, lavender, bergamot, patchouli, and grapefruit. Those are some of the most common oils to diffuse and to apply if you need help working through new moons. New moons have less effect on moods than full moons. The new moon actually gives you a little bit more like positive energy, makes people feel a little bit more uplifted. So a lot of those oils just help you be productive and work through. And then the next full moon for May is May 26th. And I'm going to put the oils in the chat for that one. The top oils to use during the full moon are release, eucalyptus, myrrh, sandalwood, lang lang, and cardamom. Release is my absolute favorite one to use during full moon because it does have, the full moon affects energy the most, has the most impact on people, especially kids. So I do like to apply release to my kids leading up to the full moon. And then I'm going to do, I copied it. There we go. Okay, I'm also going to put in the chat a full moon blend to diffuse. This is a really good one to diffuse. It's 3 cedarwood, 3 juniper, 2 drops of cypress, and 1 drop of lime. And again, I put it in the chat for you, but that's a really good one to diffuse on the day of the full moon. That's something that I personally would diffuse it all through the day, and then I'll restart my diffusers in the evening time so that it goes through the night as well. And May is actually going to, I don't know if you noticed the moon in April, the full moon in April was called a supermoon. It was a pink moon. It was beautiful, very bright. May is actually another spring supermoon, and it's going to be brighter than April. So it's going to seem larger because of the distance that it is from the Earth. It's going to be brighter. So research has said it's also going to have more effect on people because it's closer and it's all of that. So definitely apply oils leading up to it. With oils, the moon phases, you can be really productive. I don't know if you ever noticed, maybe this month, kind of pay attention to how you're feeling leading up to May 11th, May 9th, 10th, 11th, and then May 24th, 25th, 26th, kind of check and see how you're feeling. Are you feeling like amped up? Are you feeling a little overwhelmed? Are you feeling scattered? pay attention to that and the days, because you could be having, you could be affected a little bit more by these new moons and these full moons. But using oils has really, really helped my kids and their attitudes. And because when I forget, I will be like, what is your problem? Why is everyone at each other's throats? I do not understand what's going on. And then I'll research and I'm like, oh, yeah, the full moon is tomorrow. Okay, that makes sense. Come over here and let me slather you in oils. So there's definitely a lot of information. And I'd be happy to chat with anybody later who might want some more, because we do more oils than just this, and there are different phases. But new moon and full moon are definitely the big ones, and this spring one's going to be beautiful and bright. So that's exciting.
Awesome, Ashley. She has a group for moons and oils where she's done a class in that group, and she updates on what's happening and oils to use. So send Ashley a request to be added to that group when she gets back from vacation. And Ashley, if you can post in Believe Team somewhere around May 11th, May 25th with reminders about those oils, that would be fantastic and really fascinating. So thank you. Goodness, I'm learning a lot. Okay, we're ending tonight's call with Lynette, who is like the queen of diffuser recipes and is so consistent with her diffuser. And she is going to share a couple of her favorite springtime diffuser recipes.
Well, really, it's just kind of picking out what you like and what kind of strikes you that day. There's some days that I'm very purposeful and okay, I definitely want to use this. And then there was a couple of days ago, and I'll tell you about that, where I just experimented and it's become one of my favorites. But I wanted to start out with citrus, because when I think of spring, I think of all the citrus. And so we've got a wonderful collection of citrus. We've got lime and lemon, grapefruit. You may not be able to see these. Tangerine, orange. And I started thinking about a couple of citrus recipes to give you, and they're just limitless, unlimited what you can do with that. Bergamot is another one, and this was new to me, so I'm going to highlight this just for a second. This was new to me when I started using oils. It's citrusy, but it has a little bit more of a hint of floral with it. This works really well with geranium, lavender, ylang ylang, and with orange. It's very cleansing, it's uplifting, very calming. And that's why I like the citrus oils. They're just very invigorating and just a clean smell and really fresh. You can top it off just a little bit with some spearmint or peppermint or anything else, but spearmint is one that just gives a little extra kick to it. In fact, we have citrus fresh that could go with any of these, and it also has some spearmint already in it. So you could take any of these citrus, take 2 or 3 of your favorites or whatever you happen to have, put 2, 3, 4 drops in your diffuser, maybe add a little peppermint or spearmint, and you are good to go. Another one real quick I just got from Aaron Rogers that I saw is called Fields and Flowers. It's 3 drops of ylang ylang, which is, again, a little bit more of a floral scent to it. It's a little sweeter. It's in many of the different oils that we have. 2 drops of sacred sandalwood, which is really good for confidence and clarity. It's kind of a little more sweet, woodsy, warm smell. And then 2 drops of lavender. So 3 drops of ylang ylang, 2 sacred sandalwood, and 2 lavender. And that's called Fields and Flower. And then my experiment that I did a few days ago, and I've really, really liked it. Joy's one of my favorite oils. And oh goodness, a couple of years ago, I just mixed this with Northern Lights Black Spruce, and it is an all-time favorite of mine. But the other day, I tried it with Abundance. Abundance has got orange and ginger, frankincense, patchouli, myrrh, and some cinnamon in it. And then, of course, the Joy is very uplifting and comforting. It has ylang ylang in it and very more of a floral, just a sweet fragrance. It's got some rose in it and geranium. So those are some of my favorite. It's just fun to experiment. And if I have a couple things in hand, I think, well, I don't know why, but we'll try it. And I usually end up loving them.
Awesome. Thank you, Lynette. And thanks for the reminder about the citrus oils, and also just to try, just get in there, excuse me, and mix things together. We've had our windows open a lot recently with the mild weather, and it's fun to bring in that fresh air and then also have the diffuser circulating, and just feels like a good spring vibe here. Very cool. Goodness, I have learned a lot tonight. This has been a call with a ton of variety and a lot of really awesome tips. You guys bring so many great things to the table. So anybody have a favorite thing that you learned or something that you wanted to add real quick? We've gone over a little bit, but wanted to offer anyone. Yeah, Suzanne, you'll have to unmute yourself.